Hey guys, it's Chris from Face Fun Creations today. Something a little different. I'm going to teach you or show you how I turn this. Sorry, got my camera at a new angle. This is a comfrey oil. We're going to turn it from an oil into a usable salve. And comfrey, for those of you who don't know it, is really good. It's also called, I think it's called Bone Set, maybe. I made this in 23, as you can see on the label, and it is a beautiful, oh my goodness, it's definitely been in the cabinet for a little while, but it turned into a very beautiful moisturizing oil. And I'm going to show you how to turn it from this plant matter infused oil, which I quick infused it. I put the comfrey, I diced it up fresh, and then I put it in my crock pot uncovered for 10 to 12 hours to infuse the oil fairly quickly. I probably could have done it in a couple hours, but it was late at night. I had dried it out a little bit, and then I just kind of left it in the jar. I let it cool and just kind of left it there. It smells so good. I can't remember if I used olive oil with this one or if I used, coconut oil. So we'll take that off to the side. Olive oil. Okay, so this one was put into an olive oil base. So before we start with that, I just finished this oil, and it's infused with your average marigolds, not the European ones that are called calendula, but this is your typical garden variety pot marigold that you get at, like, you get your packets of seeds at your grocery store, your Dollar General, things like that. And I did the quick method with this, and my grandson and I strained off the oil this morning, and we turned it from this bit of a mess. We squeezed out the excess oil and we put it into this bowl, and then we turned it into this beautiful salve. It has jojoba oil, which is this. I believe I picked this up at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, and it was like $6.50. I use extra virgin olive oil, doesn't matter what brand. And then, of course, like I said, I soaked it overnight for a few hours, and I've been using this from Amazon, the essential oils listed here. And then this is how they come in the package. And we used the vanilla oil with our marigold oil, or salves, today. So I'm going to be using my comfrey salve. I'm going to set this aside. And it's relatively easy to do. Overlook my pup. He's mad because he's in his kennel right now. Alright, so we'll move that aside. And I'm cheating because I haven't had time to mess with my own personal beeswax, because, as you know, I'm a beekeeper. But I picked this up at Hobby Lobby. We use a couple tablespoons of this. And then we've got our shea butter, our jojoba oil, and I'm going to add a bit of I'm thinking about maybe adding mica powder to 1 or 2 of the jars. Now I ordered these jars off of Amazon, and it was like a box of 100 and some, I think it was, for a fairly decent price. I can't remember. So there's that. Alright, before we get started, we're also going to need our double boiler. I got this one, believe it or not, off Temu, and I think it was like 10 bucks. So I've already got my water inside. Put that on our back burner. And I've never used mica powder on any salve before, but I just ordered some from Let's Resin today. Well, not today, but I just got it today. And I'm thinking I might add a little color. I'm not going to go too heavy because I know there's a lot of people with allergies. So we'll get this open and take a look and see what we've got. So bear with me for just a second here. Get that plastic off there. And we've got our little spoons in here too. Now, as you see, these are 60 colors. And I have no idea, since it's comfrey, I'm not sure what color I want to use. So I will be back after I get a couple things put together, and then we'll continue this video. Be right back. Okay, so I'm back. Got our measuring utensils out. Where did I put the other ones at? Just got another set of measuring spoons, and I can't remember where I put them. Hung it back up. That's where I put it. Good grief. Okay. Alright, so we've got our shea butter. I've already started warming the water up on this side of the stove. So I'm going to do approximately 2 tablespoons of beeswax. Doesn't have to be exact. The more beeswax you have, the thicker your salve will end up being. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here in a minute. So we'll just set these off to the side again. And we need 1 tablespoon, give or take, of our shea butter. And shea butter is really good as a moisturizer, skin softener, and things like that. So it's really, really good for your skin, at least from the research that I've done. And again, it doesn't have to be 100% spot on, but just take the shea butter and we'll put that in there with our beeswax. Might need to get a spoon here in a minute, maybe. Get this out. I know this is not my usual content, but I thought it's a rainy day here where I'm at in West Virginia. So it's a good day to do some home skills and basically just have a little fun with it. Alright. So I got about a tablespoon of shea butter, about 2 tablespoons of beeswax. If I can get that off there. There we go. And I'll just set those off to the side for now. And we'll put this over here on our double boiler, which is heating up now. Okay, now I need a bowl for the oil. Sorry, my camera keeps bouncing around. My floors are a little weak. Okay, I'll just use... Tell you what, I'll be right back. I'm going to go get a metal bowl. Okay, gotta use a glass bowl. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our strainer over that. Now, I don't mind getting my hands messy a little bit. However, when I go to strain out some of the plant material, sometimes I like to kind of squeeze the oils out of whatever I can. Now, I don't use a cheesecloth very often because I actually like some of the plant material left into my salve. Because for me, I feel that it gives a little extra benefit to the salve. That's my personal thinking. It's not fact. Do things the way you want to do them. Alright, so real easy. I'm just going to dump this into our strainer. Now, if there's too much sediment from the oil in there, I can strain that off. But again, I am not overly worried about that at this point. And whatever's left, I can put it over here in my other little pan. Now, I've decided that the color I want to use is my Let's Resin, it's a forest green. I just opened these up. You saw me do it. So I just want to add a little extra sparkle, I guess, to it. And then I want to add some cinnamon essential oil after everything is melted together. Alright, so that is done for now. Just turn that upside down in my little side dish over there. Alright, now, I missed a few of these little pellets. Take that out of there. There we go. Alright, so these I can put in the sink. Alright, now what I want to do is very simple. I'll move this over here. That goes in for the color. Now, I'm going to show you what's going on over here. Here's my beeswax and my shea butter. And just going to let those melt together on my double boiler. Set that here. Now, I can't leave that sit there too long. And I like to, what they say, measure with my heart. So here's my jojoba oil. And it just gives another little nourishing bit of oils into our finished product. So I'll put that back over here on the double boiler. And I'm only going to need about 1 cup of our oil. And that will do about 5 jars of salve. Now this one I made yesterday is a goldenrod. This is my sample jar because my husband likes to get into my stuff sometimes. And again, it's a real pretty color. I used all the same ingredients except I used the lemon essential oil for this one. 1 cup of this oil will make about 5 jars of those. I'll be right back. Again, I ordered these little jars from Amazon. And I'm going to reuse this. Sorry, did not mean to bump the thing again. These are ones I've already got labeled. Just pop these in here. And then my other ones I will put in there a little later on. Okay, now, I just washed my measuring cup a few minutes ago. But like I told my grandson, you don't ever want any excess water. Always dry out your utensils when you're using oils. That way the oil does not go rancid. Now, one thing I did not tell you was when I do the quick infuse method with a double boiler and a jar, basically as a crock pot with some water in it, and I put my jar with herbs that are fresh herbs into the crock pot, but I don't put a lid over those. So, I'm going to use a smaller measuring cup with that. That way I don't make too big of a mess. I am known for my messes, as you all well know. Like I said, I'm not too concerned about having a little bit of plant material in my salves after I've strained them off. I personally like it because I feel it gives a better consistency at the end. And that the medicinal properties that are in the plant material itself outweigh the nuisance of, ooh, that looks gross. Some people like them, some people don't. Me, I really don't mind one way or the other. Alright, slide that off to the side for the moment. Alright, now I'm going to mix this together. And then while that's sitting over this nice warm boiler, we'll get these jars together. Alright, that goes to the sink as well. I have already cleaned these out. I just put the little, or I left the little bags for the lids for safety purposes. Now I'm going to set this here. I personally like to add a piece of aluminum foil to like the inside of a canner bottom. That way it helps it cool a little more evenly. Again, this is my personal opinion. This is not a proven fact. Set my lids off to the side because I'm not going to need them for a while. And it takes maybe 20 or so minutes for this to cool down 100% before you can put your lids on. Now while I'm doing this, my oils are mixing in with my shea butter and my beeswax. Alright, now, now while I'm waiting for that to completely mix together, because when you pour your oil into that, the beeswax and the shea butter, it will actually congeal just a little bit. Move this over here. Excuse me. Now, as I said, I'm using some cinnamon oil for the warming effects that it can have. Cinnamon's really good for a lot of different things. I'm not going to go into those, but it's very easy to find on Google. You can look them up in your herb books. Get this to find the right spot to drip this stuff. Well, come on. They're very picky. I'll be using roughly, if I can get them to work, about 5 or 6 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 drops. 5, 6. All right, about 6 drops in each one. You can use more, but I don't want to overwhelm anybody. And you can tell it's, you know what, we'll go ahead and use a little more. I'm going to turn my double boiler off because that's nice and melty. Melted. Oops. And this smells amazing. It's kind of like breakfast on. Again, measure with your heart. As far as cinnamon oils go, be careful to make sure that people know that there is cinnamon in there, because there are people like my oldest daughter who have an allergy to cinnamon. Now, I always add my oils separately into my little jars or my tins. The reason for that, I find that if I mix it directly into the main oil, that it doesn't seem to retain as much of the scent as I would like. So, now I have never used a mica powder in anything before, but we're going to try it out today. That way I can tell this batch from my marigolds. I'm going to take the double boiler out of the pot and set it right here beside me. And I'm going to open my mica powder away from the countertop. There's a little over a cup in there, so use a couple little spoons of the mica. And I don't think I'm going to do more than 2, because I don't, again, want to have to deal with someone with allergies coming back at me and like, well, you didn't tell me that there was mica powder, or, you know, whatever it is. And that is just going to give it a really, really pretty shimmer. Kind of a mysterious little holiday vibe on this one. Alright, let's get that back down in there. And now the hard part is not to make a mess. If you're using a double boiler, be sure that you wipe the water or set your top piece on a paper towel before you start to pour anything. Otherwise, you could get water inside your jars. And again, you do not want to do that. Okay, that needs to be stirred up a little bit more. The mica has settled a little bit. I start these out by filling it just to the shoulder on this jars. And then whatever's left, I split it between the other 4, or the entire batch. This one doesn't seem like it's going to have any left over. Interesting. All right. And that's it. Now all we got to do is wait for it to cool down and put the lids back on it. And that is how you make comfrey salve with a sparkle. As soon as these cool down, I'll be back to show you the finished product. Alright guys, so always label your jars. These are some cheap dissolvable labels I got from Walmart. They're in the canning section. And haven't done it yet, but you need to put the date on them. And that way you know what you're dealing with. Put those away for later. Now these are not fully cooled off. You can tell they're kind of like jello. So these are almost ready. Another 10 or so minutes. And then I will have some beautiful homemade comfrey salve. And my next batch, I'm thinking about using, I did some goldenrod salve a couple days ago. And all of that is just like pollen in the bottom. Beautiful pollen. And believe it or not, it is not goldenrod that triggers your allergies, ladies and gentlemen. It's actually ragweed. They look very similar sometimes, depending on what part of the nation you live in, but they are not the same. So that's all I have for you today here at Faye's Fun Creations. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see some more salve making, or I can show you how I do my tinctures with some fresh materials, please like and comment, share my videos. I'd really like to get out and put my products out there, if you will. By the way, these are not meant to diagnose, treat, prescribe any medical condition, and this is not to take away from your primary physician. These are my personal experiences, and of course you have to say those things in today's society because there's a lot of people who are sue happy. But comfrey is really good for healing wounds, allegedly. I used it on my husband's incision when he had his open heart surgery, and you can hardly tell that he had open heart surgery. You have to really look for the scar to see it. It's blended in with his overall body tone, or his skin tone, fairly well. He's got 2 spots that you can really tell, and it just blows my mind how much it healed and how quickly. So you gotta be careful what kind of wounds you use these on. If they're deep wounds, you don't want to use this. I waited until his scar healed enough where the surgical glue came off, and then I started putting it on the outer edges of the scar, not the scar itself, until it was completely closed over on its own. But, alright, just in a little bit of time we've been talking, you can see that it's pretty much solidified. But goldenrod, the oil for goldenrod is good for your allergies. You can do a goldenrod tincture. And matter of fact, speaking of tinctures, I will pull one out that I've done this year, August. I've got to strain them off, and you just use the tassels, cut off the dark pieces, and then you use the tassel for your tincture, and you mix it with 85 proof or higher alcohol. And I use corn silk because it's really good for a diuretic. It's good for your kidneys. It's good for bladder infections. And it really smells like corn. And it's just amazing stuff. So this one I will run through a cheesecloth because of those fine hairs that you get from corn silk. But again, if you have any interest in learning about this kind of stuff, as well as my regular resin art, again, leave me a comment, guys. Alright, that's all I have for you today. See you next time. See you on the flip side. This is Chris from Faye's Fun Creations. Have a wonderful day. Bye.